3 things that you need to do in order to just break yourself free to follow your calling. So what are the things that I find that when you've gotten yourself into a space where you feel like there is no way forward, right? You're so stuck and you can't see a way of sustaining your life through a completely different means because you've invested so much time, energy into the path that you're on already. But you know deep down that something doesn't feel right, that there's so much noise in your brain that there has to be something else, right? Why would it be screaming so loudly to keep you safe if there wasn't something great on the other side? So before you even think about, like, how do I write a CV? How do I start talking to these companies? What are the interview preps that I need to do? I want you to pause and take a breath and just come back to yourself. So hi, I'm Ellie McGraw. If you're new here, I'm an ex-recruitment consultant who's spent the last 10 years in her own business trying to figure out what that is, what that looks like, and how to bring passion to a life that was very much on default, that was very much looking good but not feeling good. And having worked in recruitment for such a long time, having worked with successful women who were desperate to get a change, whether that was because of their circumstances or whether because of this deep calling to bring something to life in this world that is truly transformational. So what I want to share with you today is, before all of that stuff, before you get weighed down in the action part, we need to get into a serious mode of reflection, okay? Because when we're weighted down with what I call our shoulds and our shitty limits, we often get really confused. And then that's where we lack that clarity and certainty to be able to move forward. So, number 1, right? Stop shooting all over yourself and figure out what you truly want. So when I talk about shooting, right, it's when we start saying these words like, I should be doing this and I should be doing that, and this is what everyone expects of me, right? That's everybody else, right? And we've been brought up in this world where we're conditioned to really feel into what people want from us. And if you're a people pleaser like me, then, you know, that's your whole life, right? It's been this like, I need to make sure that you love me. I need to make sure that you think that I'm worthy of your love. And taking that step back and going, actually, if I wasn't worried about any of that stuff, what would I be doing? What are the things that I truly love? And then how can I bring that forward? But don't get wrapped up in, how will I get paid for this? Because that's later down the line, right? That's so far down the line. It's not in this moment. In this moment, all we want to know is, if I took the word should out of my vocabulary and I just focused on the things that I would truly want to do I have answers for that, number 1, right? Because if you've been so conditioned to always be thinking about what everybody else does and thinks and does, then it's actually really hard to then zone in on what it is that you truly want. And if that is an issue, stick around. I'll have another video to help you figure out, like, how do I start tuning into that? How do I figure out what I want, not what everybody else expects of me? Number 2, getting really clear on where you're putting your shitty limits, right? This is what I call shitty limits, right? Because we've been conditioned again to think, right, what is it? This is where I can go, right? This is where I can go and I can't go any further. This is, you know, I can only earn this amount of money. I can only do it this way. And I haven't grown up in Northern Ireland, right? I'm a weird one, right? I've gone off and traveled. Like, I had my second baby at home, right? The things that I do, my family all think I'm a bit crazy, and that's okay, right? I've had the time and the space to be able to create that distance between what I can think is possible for me. And there's a story that I've heard in the past where this man was hanging out with a family that he knows, and his goal was always about getting this BMW. So the BMW, that was his precipice. That's the thing that he really wanted to get to. And he went and he hung out with his family for the weekend, and part of the weekend the kids were like, Daddy, can we go to the Ferrari garage? Can we go to the Ferrari garage? And the daddy's like, yeah, cool, whatever, let's go. And so they all jumped in the car and they all went and got in the Ferrari, and the kids went for a test drive and whatever, right? And so he was like, hang on, I have been like limiting myself to this level of a BMW, whereas these kids are out there, they're driving in these Ferraris, they're having a great time. And it's like, where else am I putting these limits on my capacity to do things, my ability to have things? So really starting to understand that if I think about all the things, oh, I can't have that much, that's too much, or if I do that, people are going to think I'm weird, and start listing those things out, you're going to have a really clear picture of, oh wow, why am I limiting myself by that? Like, what have I told myself, or what have I heard about those particular things? And number 3 is, again, before you even start thinking about CVs and thinking about whatever, I want you to answer this question, okay? And again, don't be thinking about money. Money doesn't matter right now. That kind of gets us all locked up and like confused even more, because we start again putting our shoulds and our shitty limits on the money, right? And that's not what we're doing right now. So the question is, what would you do if you could do anything and money was no object? Now, you may have heard that question before, but you may not have let yourself answer it honestly, because you think, whatever I'm going to say, I'm never going to get. And so you don't let yourself even dream. And so when I answered this question honestly, I was like, I would learn all the things that I could learn about being an amazing human, finding all the shortcuts, finding all the hacks, and then sharing that with people. But in my head, that sort of teacher was at a university, right? Or that sort of teacher was in a classroom of some kind, but in an academic sense, right? Because my limitations said that that's the only way that you can teach. But I've since come to know that you can teach in lots of different ways that don't require a university degree, a master's degree, a PhD. And you can learn all these things and teach from experience. Because one of the things that's really important to me, and where I struggle and where I struggle to show up, is if I don't feel an integrity with what I'm saying because I haven't lived it, then I don't feel like I have the right to share it. But I know this now, so I learn my lessons and I take them and I use those to teach. So this is your homework if you choose to do it. This is your mission, yeah? So find where you're putting shoulds, okay? Listen to what you say to people. Listen to, like, if you've written in journals and things in the past, look for where you write your shoulds and find out where that conditioning is keeping you safe, right? Number 2, look at where your shitty limits are. What do you believe about money? What do you believe about jobs? Where have you got your inspiration from? Who do you look for from guidance? Because then you'll start to see, where are you limiting yourself? And they're shitty limits because they're not allowing you to reach your full potential. And number 3, what would you do if you could do anything and money was no object? And this is for you just to dream, okay? Let it all come. But the first one that you have might be like, it might have a certain amount of limitations. But if you start digging into it, start asking questions around it, you'll start to figure out what might that be. And if you want some help on that, just hit a comment in the section and I can send you a little cheat sheet on how to get really clear on that question. What would you do if you could do anything and money was no object? Let me know how you go. Bye.